so we all get acquainted and understand everybody that's on the phone here. And then what I plan to do is take you guys through a real high level overview of who we are, because it's important for you to know who we are and then what we do. And then obviously we'd like to understand more about your current state and the needs that you've got related to sensitive data protection. Then I'm going to let Rob take the wheel. Um, and oops, I'm gonna let Rob take the wheel and take us through a demo of the platform. So, once the demo is over, we can discuss next steps. Does that sound like a fair agenda to everyone? Okay, yes. Is there anything specific that you'd like us to cover that we haven't laid out? Okay, great. Please remember, this presentation is not about us talking at you. Rather, we want you, this has got to be conversational. So we want you guys to speak. If a question comes up, please just ask. All
Okay.
right. So, all right. So, who are we? So, Identity Finder is headquartered in Manhattan. We've got offices and people everywhere, from New York City, Boston, Tampa, Austin, Chicago, and California. We're really a true market innovator in that we've developed and brought the industry's most comprehensive and robust sensitive data management and protection solution to the space. And as a result, as you can see, let me start that over. So as a result, we've been positively reviewed by many different media outlets and industry pubs, as a sample of which you can see sprinkled at the bottom half of this slide, ranging from Wall Street Journal to PC World to Information Week and the Associated Press. So we all know that 2014 was the year of the breach in bunny ears, right? Sony was
Mhm.
hit 2 times and have since knocked on our door, amongst others. One of our largest customers is Boeing. Haven't read about them in the news lately, and you probably won't, because they use SDM to the tune of about 120,000 seats.
Mhm.
We've got hundreds of customers spanning every vertical, be it education, which is actually where we got our start, healthcare, retail, or the public sector. Really, at the end of the day, guys, the point of this slide is to illustrate that SDM applies to every business and every vertical. PII is everywhere. We all know that. And all of the businesses that you see on this slide have taken the appropriate measures with with us to safeguard their brand, employees, patients, and customers' sensitive data. And I'm going to leave this slide with two statistics. I mentioned that we got our start in higher ed, right? And we dominate that space. We have over 60% of that market share. And that's huge when you think about enterprise software. And you see a lot of different, you can see Harvard there, you see UMass, and you see Cornell, and Cornell is a feather in our cap. Have you guys heard of Cornell Spider? And they say no, and you say, well, Cornell developed a forensics software, a crawler in a search, discovery type of software, and they named it Cornell Spider. It's similar to ours, but not, it couldn't even smell sensitive data manager. So they've since tossed that, and they use us to do all of their discovery and classification. And lastly, and I think this is extremely important as well from a statistical perspective, we retain 94% of our customers, which is huge.
Mhm.
And they stay with us because we're constantly listening to their needs and we're evolving our platform based upon those needs. So this is the meat, right? So how do we fit your needs? What's our approach like? Well, our approach is broken down into four main parts. This is what we do. We discover, classify, monitor, and protect sensitive data. This is our circle of life. So let's start out with discovery. All right, so discover. So a sensitive data management is gonna, excuse me, sensitive data manager is gonna help you discover your data wherever it is. So enterprises like company name, whether you got centralized or decentralized IT environments, you need to know where your sensitive data lives, where it is, what do you have. We help you do that. Discovery is the first step because you can't protect what you don't know exists. So once you discover, then what? You know where everything is. Now you've got to classify it. So we'll help you classify data with policies that you set in place. And once those policies are in place, our persistent classification will tag your data and it's going to follow it wherever it goes, even if it's been renamed, for example.
Mm.
Classification at the end of the day is going to increase sensitive data awareness in your business, and it's going to begin to shift the overall culture and mindset of your end users as it relates to PII and other sensitive data, which at the end of the day really is going to help minimize the chances of PII accidentally getting sent out. And this is where I tell the Jeb Bush story.
Okay.
So, and then monitor. So we deliver near real-time monitoring of your sensitive data. So you'll know when it's being accessed, saved, if someone tries to email it, the file's been renamed, etc. So net, at the end of the day, the sum of all of these things, discovery, classification, and monitoring, is enhanced protection of your data. So really, this is huge too. So ease of use and deployment's critical when it comes as it relates to enterprise software. It's important for you guys to understand that we are not a hardware-based nightmare.
Right.
That you invest in a bunch of infrastructure, networking, and FTEs to implement and support. We are software based and we can be easily deployed in a Windows environment without the six-figure professional services cost and 6-month deployment time. I actually came from EMC selling software, and I've got a customer that bought $1 million of software from me in Q3 last year, and literally, I know this for a fact because I still talk to my engineer, is still deploying and has spent $150,000 in professional services and has a team of 4 employees, internal employees, FTEs managing that project. That's a
Hmm.
lot of investment in both money and human capital. So, long story short, you can actually literally be deployed, classifying and protecting exposed data in perpetuity in about a week or so, which or whatever your timeline permits, which speaks to our excellent development and engineering team. These guys have done and continue to do an excellent job of striking a sound balance between usability and security with as little friction as possible. And with that, they deliver an automated solution that requires very little capital. It's truly SDM is truly a set and forget solution. So with that said, I'm going to stop. And while Rob's getting ready to show you guys the platform, can you share with us, what you're currently are you currently using DLP? What type of information you're looking to protect? And this is where I'll kind of start digging a little more,
Right.
and then get Rob going. That's it. 714. I did that in 714.
Nice. 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 Nice.
It's
I like
super
set
hot.
and protect. That's awesome.
Oh, set and forget. Oh,
Yeah, set and
yeah, yeah,
forget. That was
yeah.
great.
So it's fast and it's high level by design, right? I want to give them a taste, and then I want Rob to show them we search databases, structured and unstructured data, and I should fit that in here somewhere. But that, and you can tell, dude, I was reading that entire. I've written all of this out.
What about the only thing that I noticed you didn't mention was anything about reducing your footprint?
Yeah, I need to say that. And I will say that, and I will add that in there because it's feedback like that. In fact, let me write that on my whiteboard right in front of me. Let's see, reduce. Otherwise, I'll forget it.
No,
Let's see,
I'm the same way.
foot. All right, PPT, shorty. Got it. All right. Yeah, you're right. I need to say that, and I need to say structured and unstructured. But does it sound like I know what I'm talking about? Because I really don't.
No, no, it sounds great, and I love, you're very adept at weaving in the stories, like,
Yeah,
especially the EMC. I mean, that's going to really resonate with
it
people, I
does.
think, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, a story, and that I think that just shifts people to thinking in a different mindset.
Well, and it's all about telling a story, man. Like that's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear you just, that's why I put the Jeb Bush story in there. That's why, kind of throw Boeing in there lightly, even though we know they haven't deployed 120,000 seats. But when you throw Boeing in there, that resonates too. So you got to highlight just punch, punch, jab, stick and move with like little tidbits and anecdotes. It doesn't have to like that EMC anecdote was 15 seconds,
Right.
but it resonates. And so yeah, I and you helped me with this initially, and so did Bart, and you guys were a big help because Bart got on the phone with me and he like literally 7 times he's like, do it again, do it again, do it again, and so yeah, I mean I can send this to you. I mean I don't know if you do you give a lot of PowerPoint presentations?
Zero.
Uh,
But I don't know. There's some talk about you moving up into an ISR kind of role, so I think I'd love to see it.
sure, sure.
Also, yeah, I mean, I feel like I need to hold down the fort a little bit longer with ADR just to keep the pipeline full. And I want to
Yeah, I get
feel,
that.
yeah, and I want to feel like there's I really want to feel like it's super easy to get meetings through outbound, and once that's the case, I think it's time to take a step.
Once you've mastered that, dude, that is the hardest. Those are the hardest types of meetings to secure.
Right.
I mean, those are not easy. All right, and yeah, once you've done that, um, I just sent it to you.
Okay.
Once you've done that, yeah, I would think that a couple things. A, you've proven yourself, right?
Right.
And B, yeah, if you're good at setting meetings, now it's time to take the next step and run one,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. And
And
in the background, I'm always, kind of with the challenger sale, always thinking about how to really nail down the commercial pitch, and the commercial teaching. I think it's something that I've really been kind of mulling over for a while, and I think that I got to dedicate probably a couple weekends to really just getting it down. But there's something to it, and I think I have an interesting way that I want to go about it, to really kind of drive the point home and to just sicken people when they listen to it about how they know this is happening in their organization.
Well, yeah, look, they know. I mean, it's like everybody knows. And like I was researching today, I was looking at like the top 15 breaches. And yeah, it's like, okay, so everyone knows about Ashley Madison. Everybody knows about Blue Cross. Everybody knows about, I got fucked from Blue Cross. Someone stole my identity. I got the letter from them. And then
Me
like
too.
literally next day, following day, $2,000 was swiped on my credit card at a nail salon in Detroit.
Jesus,
Yep. So I can tell that story too. In fact, I fucking should.
that's a good
And
one.
I'm going to tell that. Let's see. Blue CBCBS story. Got it. All right. So here's the thing. So you know, getting to the next level is great. And what you're going to need to prove, in my opinion, is, hey, yeah, you can do that, but setting a meeting and running a sales cycle are two totally different things.
Agreed.
And you got to, you got to learn how to do. You're not going to be able to learn it without doing it, right? So you need to earn the right to get in there, which you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing because everyone loves you, and I know that for a fact.
Thank you so much.
Yep. And you know, listen, man, if you ever want to run through a that deck, like when I just sent it to you, I read that deck to you. I mean, I'm getting it, it's mine, but I wrote down everything. That's my lit major thing. I write like I speak, and I hone it, and I revise it, and then I just sit there. I got my second monitor. There's no pressure on calls, dude. I,
Exactly, and I'm the
I
same way. I read everything when I'm going through any type of call with a prospect. It is all, and because the very same way I write what I speak. So,
and
it,
could you tell that I was reading out of
no,
curiosity? No.
no. It was very smoothly delivered.
All right, good. And that is the key because then they're like, okay, their guard drops a little bit. They're like, I'm talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about, and they're not going. So you've set the tone at the beginning. So I think that the way you earn instant credibility in a sales call is exactly what I told you. Like, hey, there's new faces on the call. I think it's very important that we all start from the same vantage point. Here's what I learned from our initial conversation. Is that still the case? Has anything changed? And could you kind of reiterate because there's new what your project is and what your goals are because there are new faces on our side and I want everybody just to be in sync.
Okay.
And right then and there you're a professional because when you've got people new faces on both sides, hey, okay, you shared a conversation with someone and you can go hard charging into a conversation and you never know if they've got the phone muted on the other side and they're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Ah,
I'm like, what did you? And they could be like, what did you guys talk about? Because I didn't know that. Seriously.
exactly,
So you
exactly.
so you get them everybody out, you bring everyone together, and then you say, okay, now that we all know what's going on and we know what your goals are, this will be great because we can tailor this presentation and we can tailor this demonstration around exactly what you're looking for. And then you just and say, here's how I want to structure today's call. And then you go right into that 7-minute deck. Everyone hates PowerPoint, dude. They're on the phone for an hour, they don't want to see it. And you just say, listen, I'm not going to kill you with PowerPoint. I will literally be done with this deck. It's 6 slides in sub 10 minutes, right? And then we're just going to let Rob go, and Rob's going to conduct a demonstration, and that's when we want to hear from you guys. We already know what you want. As he shows it to you, if you have questions, please raise them. And then while they're talking, and while, I mean, I'm not going to say while they're talking, but you should have a clear understanding before you get on that call what your next step's going to be.
Okay. Yeah, because then you're setting expectations from the start. That's all good closing starts from the beginning. You have to have that plan in mind, and you have to just work it through the entire time. And I'm all about bringing everything up in the beginning, about saying, look, my worst fear here is that we're going to go through this entire cycle, and then you're going to find out that you really don't have budget, or priorities are going to change. So,
Yep.
how are you sure that help assuage that, or how can we address that right from the forefront, kind of thing.
Yep. And this is what I sent Rob, and this always Rob loves these. I sent you this. I've revised it
Yep.
since, but I've sent this to him, and I think I should put in competition. I did. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, you did.
yeah. And so, and then I put notes and specifically, and Rob's like, all right. He goes, uh, this is a very unique use case, and right now we can't do it. We should be able to do it, but we can't. And I made Mark aware of that because Rob's going to have to go to David and
Right.
say, why can't we search Oracle database tables he goes, I can't, it's broken. He's like, I should be able to load the dictionary into the admin console, and then the dictionary, which in this case for Air Liquide would contain customer names, then we can attach those customer names because the dictionary is in there too. Uh, Credit card numbers or PCI data that's in the identified tables that have PCI data. Because what he wants us to do is say, hey, you've got 10,000 Oracle database tables. Out of those 10,000 tables, 5,000 have PCI data. Great, awesome. He goes, I want you guys to go a step deeper and say, hey, listen, out of those 5,000 tables, the PCI data is associated with what customer?
Right.
So they've got
Right.
to load their customer names as a dictionary into the admin console, and then SDM can search those database tables with the dictionary in hand, so to speak, and correlate the two.
Using multi-find.
I don't know, but it
Okay.
doesn't work right now.
Okay.
And so, Rob raised that to Mark. I did too, because Rob got to him first. I said, I sent Mark an email today. I'm like, here's the invite. I'm like, here are the accounts. Boom, boom, boom. I need to discuss with you 30 minutes. And he was like, okay. So we ran through them, and that was the first one. And he's like, I already spoke with Rob. Rob's going to get with David, and they're going to talk through that. There's nothing we can do right now. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not canceling the meeting. I said, then my goal for that meeting is to get him wet, get him excited, and at the end of the call, say, hey, we can meet half of your use case right now. You got those desktop laptops. Let's show you how that's done. Then as we start going into and you'll be on this call, when we
Okay.
go into the database piece, I'm going to say, listen, man, we're working through this right now. I know you were flexible, and I know you got a tight timeline. It's been escalated to engineering and product, and they're working through it. For some reason, we're having some challenges in doing what you can do, but we're confident we can do it. We just need some runway. So let us keep working on that, and we're going to come back to you. And I'm still trying to determine what I want the next step for that call to be.
Okay.
But that's, I'm not letting them off the hook because we need to be able to show them what we can do.
Do you think that's going to be a deal breaker, though?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
That control case can't do any remediation, though.
Yeah, I do. And I look their website looks totally janky. It does. And so I'm not really concerned about the competition. I don't know who can do. Veronis can do remediation, right?
I think they can move it, but I'm not sure if they can actually delete it.
Hmm. All right, so we might. I don't know who can do what they're asking for, and he doesn't either. So I'm going to ask him. So and I'll say, look, I know you have a quick timeline. I know you're going to go explore options. You're going to do what you got to do, but in the meantime, I want you to stay with us because we're working on it. And I will commit to you that we'll have an answer for you as soon as possible. I can't give you a date because I am not engineering and I need to communicate with them. But as soon as possible, whether or not we can do this.
Okay.
And if we have to respectfully part ways, cool. Thank you for the opportunity. If not, let us work through this with you. you know.
That's good.
And so I don't know. I got to think through what I want to do there, but yeah. But anyway, yeah. You I think how Kyle, how old are you?
24.
Oh yeah, dude. You got fucking God. You have so much runway in front of you to become a sales pro. You'll be good. You'll be good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you know that. You just,
Maybe.
yeah. I mean, listen, it's you are a person that is not afraid to ask the tough questions. For me, I kind of enjoyed pushing back on that guy in China. It's just like, dude, sorry, see ya. And then it's, like I'm not going to play this game,
Right.
and I'm not working on your shit until you agree that yeah, that we're in agreement. And so that's fun because you do get respect from people when you push back, and it's easy to say yes, dude. It's not easy to say no, and we get told no all the time. So why can't we tell people no? Because
I
people don't
totally agree.
expect that, and I'm cool. I don't care. I get rejected all the time. I don't care. It's like, fine. Thanks. I now know that, you're not, I now my pool of opportunities and targets has shrunk by one. Thank you for not wasting my time. I really actually appreciate that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, anyway, yeah, if you ever have any questions, if you ever want to run through a presentation and practice, um, you know, I'm here.
I would love to do that, and I really appreciate that offer because that's something that I think, in short order, I think I would like to start practicing because I know that, you know, Johannes he mentioned to me today about, moving up into sales. Mark said he is something he wanted to talk to me about when he was here in a couple of weeks. Honestly, I think that I really just want to make sure that this new lady that's bringing in to be manager is ramped. And I want to be able to comfortably get these meetings through an outbound basis and just absolutely crush my number and then jump right into it. I think that right now is a little bit premature because honestly, everything that's been happening has been pretty ad hoc, and
Right.
that's not a good basis for learning. But along along the way and behind the scenes, I'm going to be putting together my presentation. I'm going to be tweaking my pitch, and if I can have you as that person, kind of that go-to person to work on that, so that way when it's time, I can hit the ground running, as well as learning about. I want to learn about that stuff about that timeline like agreement throughout the
Oh,
process.
the
That's
reverse
the stuff
timeline?
about working a deal.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, so listen, absolutely. And that is key because what it forces you to do, let me pull one of these up. What it forces you to do is, where is it? My sales process docs. All right. So it forces you to understand what you take a step back, look at where you are in the process, and not just like stage wise. All right. So not like, is it discovery? Is it just selecting? Fuck that. I know that's important for Salesforce and I know that's important for top ops, but that's systemic stuff. And I understand that there's metrics associated with that, and I'm not negating that. But from a sales guy standpoint, you need to take a step back and you need to take a look and understand, okay, here we are. If I'm looking at this date, so it's mid-August right now, we're halfway through the quarter. So, but if I want to close this deal by September 30th, what needs to get done?
All right.
And you start with your side. What do I need to get done? What has to happen? Okay, so we're, in for this particular, opportunity. All right, so you've got Simplicity installation on February 20th. All right, so they installed the application and that we helped them, right? So we both own that. All right, we stood it up on ECS, which is, a back end that is EMC's Elastic Cloud Storage. All right, so after that, we scheduled a POC kickoff date. So they got it up, they configured it, then you've got some time. All right, so Kroll, Kroll owns the POC. They schedule the POC kickoff with internal, parties,
Hmm.
and then okay, what's the action item? All right, we're going to be on-prem builds complete. POC users are ready and ready for training. So I have my engineer and my customer success team on the phone. ready to get those guys ramped up and using the application.
Right.
So okay, after that, so on call, we had weekly status calls with them, who's obviously we're both responsible for that, and then address questions and progress. You see where I'm going here. So you get end user training, same day, kick it off and train them. That's on provided end 26 end user. And so you think about this. All right, so what's the success criteria for the POC? Kroll needs to tell us that. Specific use cases identified and success criteria aligned. And then we both agree on that. And then in parallel with the POC, I'm working on understanding their current environment and reviewing their pricing for 100,000 users and for 3 years, or excuse me, 1,000 users for 3 years. What kind of calculators from an ROI perspective can we leverage? Because we had a whole bunch at Simplicity. And then, okay, so then close plan. So this is when I presented to them, get Kroll to buy, get Kroll's buy-in on Q2 project completion timeline. So we're going to close this in Q2. So this is going to be done by 6:30 PO, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the date I'm backing into. So, okay, so this is me writing this out and presenting it to them,
Of
literally.
course. And yeah,
And
you
say,
get their agreement on it.
well, yeah, and you say, hey, listen, guys, what am I missing? This is what I think has to happen on my end and yours. What dependencies are on your end? And let's fill them in here so we have a clear project plan and understanding of when it needs to take place by. And here are the dates we're driving to. So, you start thinking about the steps and the time related to each step because we all know POCs extend. We all know that shit happens. So you've got to have a plan in place because if you don't and try to manage it, maybe it slips to Q3. That's fine if it does. At least you're chipping away and you've got a plan to close it. And you've
Yes.
gotten the customer's agreement. This is imperative to enterprise sales. You
I
got to
agree.
have a reverse timeline. This was beat into our head at EMC.
Okay.
Yep. So
Yeah, I heard they have really good training over there.
EMC's awesome, dude. Great company. I loved it there. It was a great company. They just sold Simplicity though. They just sold Simplicity, and our CEO, they sold it to private equity, so a lot of the leadership was asked to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And our CEO went to Box, our biggest competitor, and and it's like, you son of a bitch. My old engineer called me yesterday. He's like, "Did you fucking see Forbes?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Sent me the link." I'm like, "You got to be kidding, man."
Jeez.
Wow, what a Benedict Arnold. Anyway, so yeah, and this is huge too, the go no go, right? So, and what I don't have in here, you got executives. All right, so you have what I always keep, and this is very important too in enterprise sales. So you've got Todd, right? You got Todd and AG. You've got the CEO and the COO.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're progressing down a path, and if you're with like a lower left guy and maybe mid level manager guy, and you say, hey, listen, man, this has got and the deal's kind of chugging, maybe it's stalled. You can say, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is a real important deal to us at Identity Finder, and we're super excited to work with you guys. It's got so much visibility over here that my CEO, his name's Todd Lehman, would love to meet with your leadership to talk through this, and so and you get that executive alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get them to agree with that, which it could scare them, but it could also, if everything's going well, you can be like, man, we're going to make you a hero. We're going
Right.
to bring in, let's set up a meeting with your boss and maybe your boss's boss, and we're going to bring in our CEO and our COO or whoever it may be. Even Mark, you can say he's our, worldwide sales VP. Nobody really wants the sales guys in there. At that point in time, they want vision. And you can say, hey, man, they can we'd love to talk to you guys about what we're doing with you. And more importantly, where we're taking this thing.
Right.
Because the velocity of our company is insane right now. And I think it's important for you to understand where we're going to go.
Right.
And
Right.
people love to hear that because
Okay.
then it makes them feel special. And, and Todd and AG will support that all day long.
Okay.
Just don't waste their time.
Right. 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 Of
Make
course. Of
sure
course.
that you've got the right people locked in, and then when you kick off that call, you kick it off just like I did this with my CEO when he flew into Nationwide Insurance, and my at that point he was the head of customer success, and I was like, look guys, we had the CIO for Nationwide in the room, and we had about 20 people in the room, And I did exactly how I kicked off the meeting like I did. I'm like, we got a lot of people in here, people I haven't even seen, but know of us. This is our CEO, G2 Patel. He's really happy to be here, as am I. And so, hey, listen, real quick, I'm going to get you guys, we're going to get all on the same page because
All
here's what
right.
we wanted, and here's what we've done to date. It's been like a year. The deal was a long time. I'm like, here's where we are now, and this is what we want to do. Um, you know, is that cool with everybody? And it doesn't have to be like, you can say that. Does that sound good? Is that cool with everyone here? Is there anything that anybody wants to cover? And when you got executives in the room, they'll be like, yeah, can you cover this, this, and this? Sure. All right. And then Todd, and what that's going to do for you in Todd's eyes and in AG's eyes is it's going to be like, wow, okay, that's what you do in a enterprise business meeting. You set the table and you set expectations, and it's your meeting, dude, not theirs. It's yours. So you tell them what's going on, and then you ask them for input. You include that input, so you're bringing them in. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just you talking at them, and then you fucking slam it home. And
Yes.
when you do that, it sets a tone with our leadership. They get it. They trust you. They respect you. And with the customer, same thing. Customers like to be hooked by their nostrils and led.
Yes.
They don't want you to be like, well, what do you want to do? Like, do you think we should do this? No, man. You tell them what we do and how we do it, and what you will do and what you won't do. Perfect example with Swire Bev. We're not doing that. Sorry.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and you get respect there, and you really gain credibility. And it's not easy. Sometimes it's nerve-wracking, dude, when you're sitting in front of a room of executives. And the way I always handle that is okay, and it's a little different in this industry, but like with enterprise file sync and share with simplicity, I knew more than anybody in the room. So I could stand up there and be like, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to blow your fucking minds today. I'm going to show you the coolest shit that you have seen. Because I'll tell you, Dropbox for Business blows, dude. I hate it. And when you show people that and they're just like, that is awesome, dude. I'm so frustrated because I talked to my engineer. He's like, my old engineer called me today. He's like, dude, I'm like, what? He's like, you're going to be pissed off. I'm like, why? He goes, he's like, what count was it? It wasn't Teradata. It was Sprint. He's like, Sprint. I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you ready for this? I'm like, why? He goes, you're gonna be pissed. I'm like, why? He goes, because he goes, I flew down there and I'm with Philip, my old boss. And this was a deal I'd been working, dude. I'd been working, and been working, and been working. And I'd gotten the Heisman a couple times, and I just fucking slapped that out of the way and kept going. And now they sat down with us. He goes, dude, it's like a $2.4 million deal. I'm like,
Jesus.
son of a bitch. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, God, I had conservatively forecasted like 700 grand. He's like, yeah. He's like, it's 2.4. I'm like, fucker. And he was like, he's like, yeah. And then he goes, and then yeah, Teradata called too. And he's like, I guess that's in procurement. I'm like, how? That's not in procurement. I'm like, we put 1.4 million in front of them. I'm like, there's no way that floats to procurement without anybody doing anything. I'm like, have you been engaged with them since I left? He's like, no. I'm like, well, who has? I'm like, that's bullshit. And he's like, whatever. I'm like, so anyway, yeah, dude, like that type of money is ours to be had.
I agree.
And our price point, it's, 10,000 users for 600 grand. That is nothing. Nothing.
You're comfortable closing those big deals, huh?
Well, they're fun. Why wouldn't you?
Of course. Well, I don't know. It seems like, some people, like, some of the other ISRs that are here, I don't know if they've had the experience closing those type of large deals.
You know what, and that's okay. And you're right, because I will submit this. Before I got to EMC, I was one of those people. And but when EMC opened my eyes, man, because when I was there, I'm like, okay, I get this. These core reps that I would work with at EMC who managed the overall relationship with Sprint. I mean, let's hold on. Let's look up Sprint. Let's look Sprint up right now, because what puts it in perspective, man, is that IT budget. And when you look at that and you're like, dude, 600 grand for let's see. Uh, when their budget is 1.4 billion. Are you kidding me? Sure, they're going to negotiate, but at the same, because that's their job. And so what I say is, here's a proposal. I will throw a $600,000 proposal in front of these guys, $1 million proposal in front of these guys without blinking. Because
Mm.
guess what? It's nothing to them. They cut checks. I had a guy in front of me. He's an arrogant asshole at at Nationwide, and I was like, listen, man, I don't know how you buy. I'm like, you guys asked us for, I think we put a proposal in front of them. I forgot how much it was. I'm like, he's like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you how I buy. He goes, I just wrote Jim Burden, who was the core rep. He goes, I wrote him a check last November for $10 million.
Jesus.
He's like, give me the whole. He's like, don't give me. He's like, give me the whole enterprise. I'm like, all right, a whole enterprise will be like 3 million. And he's like, all right. I'm like, okay, so that's the attitude of an enterprise.
Right. Right.
Not
But
everyone, but but dude, I mean, $1.5 billion for an IT budget. That's bigger than most companies.
of course.
So you think about that. That puts it in perspective. You could just, I'd walk. It's like dropping a flyer off at their desk if you for $600,000. It's like, hey, you want a car wash? Here's a car wash flyer. Like seriously, like that's kind of the attitude you have to have because, and that lends itself to driving hard for a no. Okay, well, here's our price. You can even lie and say that's discounted, man.
Right.
And then they're like, well, that's too much. Really? Why? Your budget's this. If you don't have this project budgeted, maybe we can take from other projects. I mean, is it a security pool or, if this is a project that we have to budget for next year, okay, let's pipeline it, right? Let's start building it into next year's budget. Or, maybe budget flush at the end of the year. If you have budget left over, maybe you buy we'll land and expand. We'll get it in place. Let's do that. Like there's all those little pieces that you can work with, but 1.4 billion and 600 grand, dude, that is nothing. So that's the attitude that I carry, and you're right, that comes with experience.
I want that though. I mean, I want to get to big deals, man. I want to be closing $1 million deals. That's where it's at.
I'll tell you what, man. When I closed that deal last year, with was it NCR, which is point of sale.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember I was so excited because, I called my boss and I was like, hey, guess what? He's like, what? I'm like, because originally we'd been proposing to those guys, like, 300 grand, 400 grand. And then they're like, you know what? We want to do 10,000 users for 3 years. What's that? And I was like, all right. I'm like, here you go. It's $1 million, pretty much right on the head. And I told the core rep who owned the relationship, and what he did was he took, he was renegotiating an $18 million deal with them, and what he took that as a line item and just threw it in his, because he was getting paid 2 times on simplicity in that year. So what he did was he's like, all right, I'm gonna decrease my margin on this deal and absorb some of the costs. So really, and bake it in. He goes, so he put in $1 million in there. I gave him the quote. He put it in the overall $18 million agreement and floated it right past these fuckers. And I'm like, and I called my boss and I'm like, we just closed $1 million at NCR. And he's like, what? I'm like, yep, done deal. SO's on its way, dude. And he's like, do you have the SO number? I'm like, yes, here it is. And I gave it to him, and he's like, holy shit, let's call G2 right now. So we called our CEO. He's like, hey, G2, I'm on the phone with Joe. He goes, tell him. And I'm like, we just closed $1 million with NCR. And he's like, what? I'm like, yep. It's the greatest feeling in the world, dude, when you close deals that big.
Of course.
Because you're just, not only because you've taken a whale down, because you know that fucking check's coming. That At the end of the day, that's the best part.
Yeah, that's a chunky commission check.
It was chunky. Yeah, I loved it. So, but we don't get paid like here. We get paid way more because it's a smaller company, dude. At EMC, I got 3.5%.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're big. My quota was 3.5 million. So here, we get paid. I think it's 7.5.
Really?
So think about that. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, no one's closed $1 million deal here. I want to be the first one.
I think you will.
I hope I do. I mean, listen, it's not easy. It's a long process, and typically those big deals, I can tell you this, those big deals, that was folded into It was proposed, and we worked it hard with their security people, everything. It was proposed, and it was worked into a larger deal, right? And the benefit of that is, like I said, he took money off the top of that larger deal, put us in there, so it was net net. It was net neutral for the customer. Does that make sense to you?
Hmm.
So the customer was like, I'm spending $18 million one way or another, and this way I spend $18 million and I get 10,000 users for 3 years of simplicity versus spending $18 million and not getting that.
Exactly.
So they were like, we'll take it all day long. And for me, I get paid on a million because that is what they bought from my business unit. So I was happier than a pig in shit because I can't tell you how hard that deal was to work. They were assholes, dude. In fact,
Really.
my CEO, they're fucking dicks. And my CEO, he actually got up in front, one of our QBRs, which is a quarterly business review. We had them every quarter at EMC where you had to get up in front of everybody and you had to say, this was my number for last quarter. This is what I committed to and this is what I delivered on. And if you didn't deliver your number, why? What happened? What are you going to
Jesus.
do differently? Oh, dude, in front of the whole company, like in front of literally 50 people for an hour, you stood up there and you presented your plan every fucking quarter. And it was hardcore. And it's uncomfortable. And because, but that quarter it was, and I blew my number out, obviously. So, but when you don't, and there were quarters I didn't, you had to get up there and you had to eat shit. And but our CEO got up there and he goes, "Let me tell you guys, this is verbatim what he said." He goes, like to ADRs that were in the room, and there we had them too. He goes, to all the commercial reps and guys that want to come up into the enterprise role. He goes, I got to tell you guys, there's a lot of humility that goes along with this role. He goes, I was on a call the other day with NCR, which is Joe's account, and I fucking hate them. That's exactly what he said. He goes, they're dicks. He goes, and they just beat Joe up the entire time, and they did. He goes, and Joe just, they're our customer. You sit there and you take it. He goes, so for those of you that get told no, we all get told no. Just know that when you get up here and it's not easy. This is a very, very hard job. And there's so much humility into it. He goes, I got to tell you, he was very nice. He's like, my hat's off to you, Joe, because I never would have closed that. And he wouldn't have. They're mean, dude. They were so mean. God, they were mean. And they were actually the worst customer in my professional career.
Hmm.
And
And
I've
the
had some
biggest
bad
deal.
ones. Yeah, one of them. Yeah, certainly. HSBC was another big one at Iron Mountain. That was great. In fact, I walked in my regional vice president's office that year. He's like, "What are your goals?" I'm like, "I have one." So we stored boxes, right? We stored boxes that were barcode with companies' businesses, like
Right.
records in there, and we
Right.
deliver them.
It
I
was
said,
like physical document management, right?
"Yep, yep." And I told him, I said, "I have one goal. I'm going to make you buy a new fucking building this year." And he was like, he started laughing. He's like, "Okay, that's a great goal." I'm like, I'm gonna do that. And so, sure shit, I'd been working Household, which was the nation's largest subprime lender. This is when the bubble burst.
Right.
Nation's largest subprime lender, and you know they were total dicks to me. I'd quartered them. I'd worked with them for like a year, and then HSBC bought them, and then the bubble burst, and they closed 5 different operations centers throughout Chicago, and that deal netted. I mean, dude, I made them buy. I think it was 485,000 cubic feet of records,
Hmm.
and it was $45,000 a month in recurring revenue. So, I mean, we had tractor trailers going and coming. So what is that? 45,000 a month times 12, 45,000. So a year times 12, that's half $540,000 a year for Iron Mountain, and that was a huge deal, dude. That was so much fun. So the only thing that sucked there is I capped my bonus. They capped you, so I capped my bonus, and then of course you get to go to like they flew you all over for Chairman's Club. That was really fun. That year was the Cayman Islands. That was a blast.
Sick.
Oh, dude, it was just Iron Mountain was a real fun place to work from 2000 to 2010. It was great. I rode that wave. So anyway, you're 24, bro. You have got the world at your fingertips, and you have so much in front of you. I'll happily share my experiences with you, and anything that you can glean from my experience, it'd be great. And I already think you're solid as hell. Yeah, and I think you'd be great in a sales role. You'll learn. You're gonna get your ass kicked, and you're gonna kick ass. It's just a matter of what you take away from both.
I
Because
love it.
yeah. So anyway, I'll get off my fucking soapbox. I know it's Friday.
No, there's a lot that I could learn from you. I already know. I
Yeah,
could feel it.
I can learn a lot from people here too. You've already listen, dude. You helped me with you and Bart both helped me a lot with my whole thing. So I'm very appreciative of that. And my pitch, my elevator pitch, and getting that straight. And you just help me some more. Hey, where is the reducing the sensitive footprint? Those little the devil's in the details, man. It
It
is.
is. It is, and there's a lot to take in with this. I mean, there's so many different angles to go with it that you have to just constantly be looking for everything.
Yeah, you do. And so, I'm just going to continue to work on these. I mean, I feel like I'm wasting, I don't want to say wasting my time. Like, why am I developing email campaigns? But my goal, to be honest with you, is to develop a campaign that just kills it. And, because, and that, that basically says, hey, marketing, we can do this. Like, seriously.
You
Like,
have to. Marketing should be developing them, and I even feel the same way. I'm like, they're having, for us, I'm developing email campaigns. Then we're the ones executing it, and it's kind of silly. It's just like,
it is silly, dude, because that's the content, all that shit should be marketing. They should have the campaigns boxed and ready to go. Here's a campaign for healthcare. Here's a campaign for financial services. Here's a campaign, and it's not like you don't have to recreate the wheel every time.
no,
Draw from each one and target it and fucking send it out. Like, what have we got to lose? And I was talking to Mark this morning. I said, look, what I've really noticed is that we don't have a lot of competition. This is a real niche market that we're in, and I love it. I'm like, but what we need to do, sales and marketing needs to become that F-16 fighter jet, man, and just get our name out there. I'm like,
exactly.
because time is not our friend. And he was like, no, it is not. I'm like, so, because people are going to pop up, competition's going to pop up, people are going to improve their products. So time is now. And
Agreed.
how do we make that happen? How do we leverage that? And we need marketing for that. We need
We,
it.
I know, and that's kind of what I struggle with on a daily basis because it's like we're, we'd be more well served just sending out an email, just like, look at what we do, and just with our white paper attached. It's just like, just get it out there. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, and so and Mark loved it because he's like, you didn't run that email campaign through Marketo, the one that I ran for the Black Hat. I'm like, no, because I couldn't get the list uploaded in time. I just pulled a list and started, throwing shit out, all the shit at the wall that I could, see what stuck. And despite only getting one person's ass in a seat at the dinner, I got responses from lots of people. Most of which were like, "Hey Joe, thank you for inviting me, but I'm not going to be at Black Hat this year." But they responded,
exactly.
and Oracle CISO, Oracle CISO, that woman went back and forth with me for like five different emails, and I'm like, I can't believe this lady's talking to me. I was really surprised. She was very nice, and cool. So to your point, we can just run campaigns, and like Johannes said on that call last week, well, I'll get very bent out of shape and blah blah blah. And I'm like, how are you gonna get bent out of shape about something you don't know is happening? And
Exactly.
I know you want to apply metrics, and I'm not going to take away from that because I think that's huge. We need to know what works and what doesn't. So we got to run it through Marketo. But I'm going to run my campaigns through Marketo with my content and how I do it because what may work for you, Johannes, may not necessarily work for me. Because obviously I got responses from Black Hat. And oh, by the way, you guys only gave us a week to fill those seats. I told Mark that. I'm like, dude, that was so not fair. I said, when you want to get butts in seats for an event like that, you start 6 weeks out. He's
I
like, I
know,
know.
man.
I'm like, you guys have us 5 days.
And to be honest, Marketo, dude, I don't like how those emails look.
Yeah, I don't really like them either. And then, did you ever say something? I'll say it. They can
I've said
change
it,
the.
yeah, but they don't let us design the templates anymore, and it's kind of messed up.
Well, I'll push on Lisa. I mean, Lisa will push back. I know that because she's pushy. I like her. I think Lisa's actually pretty cool. I always
Yeah,
consider her a black hat. But I'll say, Lisa, I want this to look like this. I don't want it to look like the way it does in Marketo.
right.
Because the number that comes out is the 646 number for me. If people call that, guess what? I'm never getting it.
Exactly.
You need to put my mobile in there. And so there, yeah, I'm going to work through that. And listen, I'm not trying to bash marketing. I'm going to put my content together. I'll see if they throw up on it. If they do, fine, don't care. Um, but what I also need to do is find out based on I need to figure out what the call script's going to be for Dustin
Exactly.
when based on what I send or
That's the
what
thing. There's so many parts that go into this, man.
it's not easy, dude. That's why I gave myself some runway and said, "Hey, 8:31 is when I want to kick this off because I don't, and it's going to be 2 weeks because I don't know. I need time to think through this. It's not just, it's not easy
No,
at all. No,
no.
nope. So you get it. I know you get it. So
Yeah,
anyway,
because I'm building one, and then marketing is just like, yeah, just build one, sure. And it's like, no, it's not like that. You need to know what you're going to say for voicemail one and voicemail two, and what you're going to say when if they pick up, with the pitch. You're going to what question you ask to get permission, what qualifying questions you want, how you're going to close it, everything.
yeah. I mean, and that's what Dustin said he had to hop off a call the other day to get on a cold call. Like I think it was with Johannes. I wonder if you were on it too. Um, and no, it was like a script, a cold calling script.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that was with me. I was giving him that whole thing. Yeah, because he needs to be really brief with his value, delivering the value proposition.
he seems like a smart kid. I haven't had a lot of exposure to him, but he seems smart and he seems pretty decent. Yeah, and I know that he just got a full ride to get his master's from the University of Utah, and he moving to Salt Lake. I guess it's Salt Lake. I'm not sure. Um, So I asked him, I'm like, dude, are you going to leave us? And he was like, no, no, I'm going to do both. I'm like, so you're going to work at Identity Finder and complete a master's program? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, all right. I'm like, that's a lot on your plate. And he was like, yeah. And so, which honestly gives me, I got to tell you, it raises a red flag with me because if he's going to be working with me and I'm paired up with him as, an ADR RSM team, I need 100% focus,
Yeah, no,
and
you're right to do that because I mean this job in itself is a lot, right?
oh, it is, man. Are you kidding me? I mean, there's not enough time in the day.
Agreed, 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 agreed. I
But you
got a
do.
job. I got a customer call. The guy
Oh,
said that I
cool.
could give him now. Thank you for everything. We'll be in touch, and yeah, keep me in the loop about
About what?
keep me in the loop about how your campaign comes out because I'm
Oh
writing
yeah.
one myself here and a couple for probably Joe and Greg as well, and I'd love to compare notes.
Oh, so you're writing them out, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe Dustin should write these out
he
because
has
it's.
no idea how to do that right now.
Okay. Well, then I'll do it. Actually, this is a good exercise for me to go through anyway.
I think so.
Yep. All right, dude. Well, hey, have a great weekend, Kyle. Great
Right.
talking to you.
Hey, you know what? We might be able to do some sharing though, because I think that you'll be able to use my opener, the value pitch, and also the questions to ask in the closing. I think you can give that to Dustin as long as you give it the thumbs up.
Okay. All right. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'll have it to you. I'll have it to you by the end of this weekend because I'm going to be working on it.
All right. Cool, man.
All right, take it easy. Thanks for the time.
You bet. Likewise, man. Take it easy, Kyle.
All right, bye.
Bye.